What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to your 90th or whatever Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast for the past week and a half or so. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
So, we don't have moves like Jagger, but we are having moves like the Velveteen Dream.
I thought you were going to go with Swagger there.
Yeah, I thought that would sound cooler.
Well, if you can't tell by the title and all that, we are talking about Halftime Heat. It was a special that just aired during the halftime of Super Bowl. What number are we at Super Bowl?
52.
52? Man,
I think.
Wow. So the old LIII, I think it's 3 I's, and well, that'd be 53, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 53.
It's a Super Bowl. We don't watch sports.
Yeah.
We watch the XFL next year.
Currently, right now, the sports team A is going up against sports team B. There hasn't been a Money in the Bank cash in, so I liked John Cena's tweet or whatever it was that he had put out where he said
very good.
the NFL is the Super Bowl is the NFL's WrestleMania. I thought that was kind of funny.
He said, sorry to real football fans, and then put a soccer emoji. And then he goes, good luck to everyone at the NFL's version of WrestleMania.
So we're not the biggest football guys. We will not be talking about, what is currently going on right now, especially because I don't even have it on my TV. I have a blank screen with the Skype logo on it because that's more important to me. But I did see that Avengers teaser and 2 seconds of them being like, oh, there's Captain America's shield, and me seeing, Black Widow for a second or whatever is making me just like, in game. Like, it doesn't really fucking matter what they show. And it kind of doesn't matter what they show when it comes to Halftime Heat, because this was extra. It was just, a bonus thing. And, oh, by the way, I apologize for how I sound because my allergies are fucking killing me. So you're going to hear lots of sniffling, and I am, clogged up and all that. They had this at the Performance Center, and it was just a bonus little extra thing on the side, so I can't really approach it the way that I normally would approach most things, of being like, well, let's break down the whole event. It's one fucking match.
We're gonna break it down. Let's talk about the arena first of all. I think that's really cool. They actually sold me on potentially doing a show, not all the time, but maybe like a special show from the Performance Center.
And the crowd was made up of people from the NXT roster, and I'm assuming they're friends and family. Because I noticed at the very least Casey Catanzaro and Jessamine Duke.
And I saw Lacey Lane and Katie Catanzaro.
So that was actually surprising to me that they had that much kind of like passion behind them to just kind of act like fans, and not do the whole normal thing where it's like, well, these are our coworkers, so we're not going to necessarily act the same way.
That's kind of weird, though, that they're like on the program, some of them, and they're just like, fuck yeah, fight forever, yes.
Yeah, it's NXT chants and Johnny Halftime chants and all that.
Bebe sucks. That was a new one.
Yeah, I was curious what they were saying there. I thought they were saying like AJ sucks or something, and I was just like, I don't see Styles in here. I'm really it took me a little bit to register what was going on. But Bebe sucks. I wonder if that's something that like they wanted to get over, and now that they have the opportunity to do it, to be like, actually, speaking of that, just, a random thought that just popped in my head. If they do shows like this in the future, that would be a good way for them to get that kind of stuff over and be like, hey, everybody, we want to control what the crowd is going to react like on this. So you do this, you cheer for these people, you boo these people, you try to say these things and all that, because maybe now going forward, the other people will do that too. That'd be kind of interesting if that happens.
Well, it doesn't work on the main roster, No. You can tell when something is forced, but God, the passion really did feel genuine.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I thought that was kind of the being a train wreck, kind of. And if they would have had people that weren't really all that interested in wrestling, it would have come off as just a bunch of people standing around looking at something that they weren't sure of what the hell was going on. But the NXT crew, they're passionate for a reason, they're going into the developmental territory because they love pro wrestling. So I guess this was just one of those days where they could kind of goof off and act like fans again, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
When you think about the fact that half of them are younger than we are.
Oh, God, I hate that so much. I wonder what they are doing with, like, if they're having, like, a big, like, Super Bowl party there, or if they're...
Oh, they totally are.
You know,
I saw
like...
people in jerseys. They must have just been... It's like, all right, it's halftime. Go do your thing, boys. All right, the game's back on. Wrap it up.
You got to imagine, like, all the, you know, office areas and stuff just have, like, tons of food and, you know, that'd be kind of cool to just hang out in there. More so than even just watching the game, because I don't give a shit about the game, but give me the food that they've got. Match-wise, though, if you're curious what the match actually was, it was a 6-man tag team match. Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Velveteen Dream defeating Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. And I guess match-wise, it was good. You know, it was the type of thing that you would expect for the NXT 6, which that is something that I wasn't fully even aware of until somewhat recently, where I had seen that posted where somebody kind of called attention to it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I actually would be comfortable saying that. Because we used to have the NXT 5, which, to be perfectly honest, in my mind, it was the NXT 4. But we had, like, the whole idea of Hideo Itami, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, and, oh my God, why am I blanking on the other guy? Who was the other guy?
Rusev?
No, it wasn't.
Tyler Breeze.
No, I think it might have been Neville, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But, you know, we had that whole idea, and then it's been a while. Like, that was a couple of years ago when that was the case. So, you throw out Hideo Itami, he didn't really turn out to be all that much, and Neville fucked off, and, you know, he's going to AEW and stuff like that now. But they were really, outside of Itami, the 4 that were really holding down the fort. Now, these 6 guys, they are definitely the 6 that are holding down the fort. So, you want to call them the NXT 6? 100%. They're the best.
I really thought that we were going to get a special, hey, they can't stop fighting. Guess what? NXT's getting an Elimination Chamber match. I was kind of holding out hope.
You know, I actually, I might have to write up an article about that. This is the type of thing that I can't complain about any of the stuff that happened in the match because it was all solid, even though I feel like it was a little bit hollow because there wasn't really too much substance to it. It was just a bunch of, like, people doing spots and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was really good. Like, don't get me wrong, guys, but it's also just, like, a good match on a good pay-per-view. You know, like...
It would be a really good main event for an episode of NXT, and that's it.
Yes. Unfortunately, we can't come out here and say, and we know this is going to happen, but my favorite spot, for sure, was the triple team move from DIY and Adam Cole. Where it was like 2 super kicks and a knee.
I'm going with Adam Cole's Panama Sunrise.
Yeah. And Shawn Michaels on commentary, he sounded like a proud father.
He really did. He's putting everybody over. He's talking... You could tell that he's passionate about this NXT crew.
You can also tell why his 1995 run on commentary did not work out.
Well, like you were saying before we got started, he definitely channeled Vince McMahon of just being like, oh, unbelievable, and, well, would you look at that? Oh, this is tremendous, and just sort of like, wow, spectacle. Like, that kind of
he's just, Ricochet got in the ring, and he's just like, wow, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because here he comes. And it's just like, yeah.
And you know what? I dug it. I liked it. It felt natural to me. He seemed like he was having fun, and that made me have more fun. He said one thing in particular that I wrote down because I thought it was really pretty neat. He said about Velveteen Dream, to compare that man to me would be to limit his ceiling. He's that good. I was like, fuck, that's putting somebody over, you know?
Oh, Shawn Michaels, It's got to be amazing because yes, a lot of the NXT guys are already pretty polished, but to be under the learning tree of Shawn Michaels and Triple H, like, is there anything more that you could dream for?
That you could Velveteen dream for?
I mean, look at the Velveteen Dream. He's 23, which means when Shawn Michaels was in his retirement phase, this dude was 13 years old. Like, he's got to be just waking up every day thanking God and any other deity you could want to claim. This is an amazing experience. It's amazing for me to know, wow, Shawn Michaels is a full-time coach within this system. That means this is going to be so fucking good.
And to put that into perspective about Velveteen Dream and his age and just how good he is and all that other kind of stuff, he was just born in 1995, where that means he couldn't even talk by the time Shawn Michaels was champion.
Yep.
It's like, obviously he doesn't have the same memories that I do, where like I have, you know, a little journal that I used to keep for a school project when I was in 1996 and whatever grade I was in. I don't fucking remember. And I'm not doing math. Too long, too many days. And where I actually have like a journal entry about how excited I was that Shawn Michaels had beaten Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, and how that sucks that Bret Hart had to lose because I really love Bret Hart, but at the same time I'm really like super amped for Shawn Michaels to have a championship reign and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, I was like whatever at that 9 years old at that time or something, and he's won. It's like not even one at that point because it was April. So wow. Velveteen Dream, to get that kind of an endorsement from Shawn Michaels, that is big. And they always talk about that. Like Triple H, you know, says it's scary how good he is and all that, but they don't have to necessarily keep saying it, and they keep doing that. So he got the win, too. He pinned Adam Cole. And by winning the Worlds Collide tournament and winning this match, and you'll see what happens on NXT if you haven't listened to the spoilers and all the other kind of stuff like that. They're really going full force on Velveteen Dream lately.
So here's the one issue I have with continuity. If the entire roster's there and Cole is there, where the fuck were the other three? You know, like, why did the other three kind of let Adam Cole go it alone? Even if they got kicked out or something, it'd have been nice if the other three members of the Undisputed Era would have been around for their boy.
Maybe they were watching the game.
Yeah, somebody had to. Velveteen Dream, I think, is going to reach greater heights because he's a WWE guy, and there's not many of those left. Where it's like, yeah, you might have had a year or 6 months on the independent scene, but largely through and through, you're WWE trained, and I don't think you can, you know, limit that. And again, not to harp on it, but his age, AJ Styles is like 41, 42 or something like that, right?
Something around that line.
You know, Balor, when he was in NXT, was already 35. Like, this is an actual young kid who is going to be molded to do such great things. And I'm very excited for his future.
I mean, you can't say enough positive stuff about Velveteen Dream right now. And I thought it was funny, too, that he came out dressed up as, like, a football player, which is just, like... It's like when you see people, like, cosplaying to try to fit in, and they just are like, "Yay, go sports," and like that kind of a thing or something. I thought that was funny. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be. Is this the first time that Jessica Carr was the referee for a men's match?
I don't know, but it was definitely a very nice spotlight for her as well. Because Shawn Michaels shouted her out too, saying, you know, she's got the toughest job in there, and she's tougher than him for being in there with those 6 guys. It's just, there's such a cool vibe about NXT. Like, it's just like genuine joy and pride and love. And like, you don't get that in a lot of other places in wrestling.
No, you can tell these people are passionate and having fun, as opposed to just like doing their job. Like, you watch Monday Night Raw, you watch SmackDown, and certain people come out, and you can tell that they're just kind of breezing through the script, and they just want to get back to the backstage area, or it's become so run of the mill that they're kind of going through the motions when it comes to commentary, or like any of that kind of stuff. And with NXT, even something like this, which this was not the biggest deal, nobody really saw it, I'm sure, and we're going to talk about that in a minute or so, but this is an extra bonus thing. It's just happening in the Performance Center, and it's just 6 guys putting on one single 6-man tag team match that has no ramifications behind it, no consequences. It's not for anything. It literally is the same as if you just like essentially popped in WWE 2K19 and played a match, and they still treated it like, hey, let's go try to have a hell of a match, and let's get the people in the crowd all into this and hyped, and that's good to see that kind of passion.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels is a guy who stayed away from wrestling for 8 years. Just completely removed. And now he's back, and the one match that he did, he had the NXT logo on his gear. Like, if the greatest of all time, and we make no bones about it, he is our favorites. And if he's saying this, it's just, sky's the limit. And I was selfishly praying that Adam Cole was going to go over to wherever he was commentating and fuck with him, because I would kill for a Shawn Michaels Adam Cole match. But man, at some point, HBK is going to do a takeover. I think
what's like something I'm really, really looking forward to if they were ever to do it. You don't even need to do a match. Just do Ricochet does some kind of a flip that ends up with a Sweet Chin music.
Yeah.
Just do the spot. You don't need to do the match. You don't even need to have the setup of that they're fighting each other. Literally, you could just have Ricochet say, like, cut a promo in the ring and just be like, hey, Sean, can you do me a favor? Can you super kick my head off? I'm going to go to the top rope and jump at you. Can you please kick me? And then have the crowd just be all like, kick his head off, kick his head. Or like, and then I'd be like, that's fucking awesome. Like, go ahead, spot of the year, Smark moment of the year, like, whatever. Like,
hell yeah. Like, by the way, not to discredit him at all, Vic Joseph, fantastic. He's going to be a really good replacement one day for a Michael Cole or Tom Phillips, whoever gets that next spot.
Yeah, he's still holding his own pretty well. And in the future, when we do get that Michael Cole switch over and he's not doing the commentary anymore and he's just behind the scenes, I think that they're definitely grooming it to be Tom Phillips on one side, Vic Joseph on the other, which is pretty vanilla, I admit. It's just the typical beanpole white guy, dark hair kind of a thing. But
you know what? If they do the job well,
yeah, that's the thing. It's you gotta hire people based off of their job performance, not about anything else. And if that just happens to be those types of people, then whatever. And if it was some 700-pound I don't know, bald guy, then hey, you know what? It might be hard for him to go up and down the road, but if he does a hell of a job, then he does a hell of a job. And
absolutely.
Unless, of course, we get Mauro Ranallo on the main roster, then they're going to take one of those guys and be like, "Yeah, can you do NXT?" Like, what I mean? Then that switches over, and Vic Joseph probably takes the NXT spot. Mauro gets like SmackDown or something. I don't know, because I could see Mauro being on the Fox one more.
Right? Because he's got that sports history.
And if anybody hasn't checked it out yet, watch that video of they have been releasing these of Mauro like videotaped during the takeovers where he's just all like, leaning back in his chair, and the look at his face when he asks about did he just kick out of the fairy tale ending? And he's like, twice, and he's like,
that is a man who knows how to tell a story with his voice.
He does. Imagine him, as much as we both liked Vic Joseph in this role, imagine if it would have been Morrow and Shawn Michaels on commentary here.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it weird that NXT can do something for 20 minutes? Which, by the way, we'll talk about in a minute, but I missed the entrances because I wasn't actually aware of when they were starting. But NXT does something for 20 minutes, and we can talk about it gleefully for,
more past 20 minutes at this point.
Yeah, I know, because NXT is so much fun. So much fun.
And it's not only talking about that for 20 minutes and being like in positive spirits about it. This is a match that we already kind of wrote off as just sort of like, yeah, it was all right. And we're still just kind of like, this is fun. Let's talk about NXT for a little bit. It's just happy times. So this is going to be a lot longer of a thing than the actual halftime special was. And that's kind of interesting. But,
I have no problem blowing smoke up Triple H's ass. The man is fantastic as a creator, and I think he was good in the ring. One of my favorites, but I'm thinking he goes down as the absolute mastermind of the future of wrestling.
I mean, you could call him something along the lines of the cerebral assassin. Might be worth a nickname.
JR was proven right. The man is very cerebral.
He hasn't assassinated many people, though.
Oh, he's tried with that sledgehammer.
Well, he's assassinated a couple careers after not putting people over, but that was a different era. Maybe that's how he built up that karma. He spent a couple of years where it was like, no, I need to be on top, and then it became, all right, let me give back and actually create an awesome product like NXT. And in the grand scheme of things, if not putting over Jeff Hardy and making Jeff Hardy pin Edge and some different things like that is what we needed to do in order to get NXT, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. It's worth it.
But maybe maybe that's what he wanted to create NXT for. Maybe he saw the crop of guys coming up that he didn't feel were worthy, and he said, you know what? I'll make worthy stars.
He's like, I'm going to put these guys over, so make sure you have your cameras ready so I can stand next to them and point.
That has become iconic.
It's so weird too, because it's just like the same exact pose, same exact facial expression for every single one of them. You might as well have a cardboard cutout in the gorilla position that's just Triple H doing that, and people just stand next to it like you do at like theme parks where it's like, take your picture with Mickey, and it's like a cardboard cutout of it or something.
They have that actually at Access.
A cardboard cutout of Triple H pointing?
Yeah, that you can stand next to.
That's fantastic. Oh my god, I love that. Perfect.
Love NXT.
So something else I wanted to talk about when it comes to this is you were saying that you weren't exactly sure when they were airing this. And the only reason that I was able to jump into this ahead of time was I just had it up on my screen. I turned on the WWE Network and I had that up on one of my little tabs for, I don't know, since like 6 o'clock. So once that got to the point where the Super Bowl switched over, they were like, we're heading into halftime. I was like, all right, so we got to be around that time now. And then they kind of finished a little bit of the page thing or whatever it was and got it switched over. But advertising wise, they did not really promote this. And same thing when it came to Worlds Collide. They didn't really bother with that either. And that, we've seen a bunch of reports now saying like only 1,000 people watched this and only whatever like that. That's because they didn't really promote it. And I don't know anybody that would have watched this that wasn't a diehard NXT fan. And people that are diehard NXT fans probably still wouldn't have watched it because they might not have known when it was. They might not have cared because nothing was on the line. Or they might have been like, you know what, I'll just watch it another time on the network or something. How do you feel about that whole marketing side of things?
Yeah, I don't agree with how they did it because it's clear that the idea was, hey, this is the hot product. Maybe they were banking on the thousands of casual people who like WWE on Facebook. And, hey, look at this. Here's a marathon of NXT. And here's this special show. But realistically, I don't think anyone that wasn't already aware of what NXT is was watching this show.
I will make the argument that when they did that whole thing with Worlds Collide where they did the, let's air 9/10 of the second and third round first off and not do it on the network and all the other kind of garbage they went along with that. I make the argument that this is the show that should have been on YouTube and Facebook and all that, not on the WWE network.
Well, it was.
It was?
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube. It was directly so starting at 2:00, they streamed an NXT marathon of like the greatest matches. So you saw like War Games, Bayley versus Sasha. So they did that for 7 hours, and then it went straight into this match.
Oh, okay. Well, I totally was unaware of that. I watched it on the network. So there goes my argument.
Yeah, they actually did stream it that way.
Good.
So when I refreshed the page, because I had paused during one of the matches, when I refreshed it, I'm like, oh shit, they're already in the ring. Because it had said 8:15 as the start time on the network, and around 8:05 I tuned in, and they were already in the ring.
Yeah. It pretty much started at 8, so they did a little thing ahead of time where it was just like NXT is the great thing that like people are passionate about and whatever. It was a quick little promo kind of a thing. Nothing really anybody needs to check out. But I wish that they would have advertised it a little bit more. And admittedly, as much as I love NXT and as much as I think that these 6 guys in particular are 6 of the best people that they have, not in NXT, but in WWE entirely, I will admit it doesn't have a whole lot of appeal to a casual fan. And if you were somebody who, back in the day when the Attitude Era was at its peak and, 1999, you get Mankind versus The Rock, that was a big, big deal because they are bigger names in a bigger time frame where WWE is, hotter and everything. And maybe if they would have done something more along those lines, this could have been something that they would have actually put a little bit more of an investment in.
Yeah, but I think the reason it's not appealing to the casuals is because NXT guys still kind of fight. They fight that indie style. A lot of casuals want to see those brawler type, the Stone Cold Steve Austin build, and the brawler types. They don't necessarily want to see, somebody who looks like Johnny Gargano, and that's not a knock on Gargano. It's just what it is.
It's they're not larger than life type argument.
So we have a new writer, Hannah, who said that Seth Rollins is larger than life in the latest Triple Threat, and I kind of cocked my head at that and was like, I'd like her to explain that, because I see plenty of dudes that look like Seth Rollins, just around.
Yeah. I mean, you put Seth Rollins up against a Braun Strowman, you can tell which one's going to be, the 1990 guy who's going to fight Hulk Hogan. It's not going to be Seth Rollins. As good as Seth Rollins is, I mean, we're not, knocking him. But I got a feeling like maybe even if they would have done something along the lines of this is where Velveteen Dream cashes in his Worlds Collide thing, like maybe they could have done something along those lines. Had, at Halftime Heat, the winner of the Worlds Collide tournament will get their title match or something.
I'll go even further and say, do title for title Gargano and Ciampa, and you would have had, oh, you can't miss this shit, Yeah,
you could have done that. You could have done main roster people, and that maybe would have been the case. It kind of depends on who you would have picked, because nobody would have really cared if it would have been like, Halftime Heat, we're going to have Sin Cara versus R-Truth. It would have been like, okay, well, we don't need to see that. But if maybe Halftime Heat, if this is a thing that they continue to do in the future, which a possibility, I would like to see them do that next year, consider maybe doing something along the lines of, if you really have it as something that you want to try to make a big deal out of, pay Brock Lesnar. Make this one of his things.
So I made that argument to Kevin on the WrestleZone chat today, where I was like, this is cool, but imagine if we were getting Brock Lesnar versus fucking anybody. Brock Lesnar versus John Cena.
Cena was the one I was going to go with. Yeah.
You know,
if that would have
how
been the
cool
case,
would that
then
be?
That would have been a bigger deal for media outlets.
They could have probably got that on USA.
Probably at that point, yeah. And it might not have been something that made as big of a splash as what the Mankind and The Rock match was. And it wouldn't have been something that I would have considered to be still 100% must see. But shit, even imagine if that's when Cena won that 17th world title.
Would have been huge.
It would have been absolutely huge. And some people would have been like, well, why the fuck did you put that on halftime instead of at WrestleMania? And it would have been like, well, then why didn't you watch it at halftime?
Been watching.
You know, like sometimes you have to kind of deal a little bit of tough love like that. And when it comes to a 6-man tag team match on NXT, people don't have to watch this because they'll say, well, no titles were on the line. There were no stakes involved. And if I didn't watch it, then it doesn't matter. And it's just 3 people won a match that 3 other people could have won and it wouldn't have mattered either. Like maybe put a little bit of something on the line and maybe make it to where it's must see and where people will tune in. Even though it still was good. Like I'm still happy that they did this and I'm still, still thumbs up about it. It was just learn a little bit from this, and if you do it again next year, which I hope that they do, make it a bigger deal. Put the NXT UK title on the line or something. You know, do NXT UK's United Kingdom champion against the NXT champion. Pete Dunne against Tommaso Ciampa. And
another thing, if we're gonna nitpick and say what they could have done, I would have had 2 matches. I would have had this match and some kind of showcase for the women. Because I saw a lot in that marathon of how much the women have done in NXT, and I would have put like Bianca Belair gets her rematch against Shayna.
That would have been a good thing to do. They would have been rushed, admittedly, but you know what though? Like, I think if anybody's watching this and they're really that invested, they probably wouldn't necessarily care to have to switch back over to the Super Bowl anyway at the moment. If you ran over 2 minutes, you know? But, you know, which one's going to be the one that gets the ratings? It's going to be the Super Bowl. Like, there's no question about it. That's the bigger deal. So, I can understand trying to rush it and all that. And I would like to see maybe next year they do have a women's match instead. Or they have 2 matches. That would be a good call to make.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like it. I like when they utilize the network like this. Just positive things, because here's the reality is, in 21 days, in exactly 3 weeks from today, the network will be 5 years old. And truth is, they haven't done a lot of these things.
They really haven't.
You know, they haven't done a lot of specials like this. Yes, you get the pay-per-views, but you haven't gotten a lot of check out this random thing that you can only see on the network, like remember Beast in the East? Or
yeah, that's when they started to do those little kind of extra specials, like the kind of the way that they do. As far as I'm aware, like you can't order necessarily like Crown Jewel through a normal pay-per-view thing, right?
I don't think so, but maybe you could.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't really paid any attention to that.
Crown Jewel and Super Showdown might be the exception. I know that you could order Evolution because it was the one pay-per-view that I actually saw a commercial for on TV.
Huh. Yeah, they need to do more stuff like this because, for instance, the Worlds Collide thing, you're already doing matches. You might as well record them. It can't be that much more of an expense to have the people do the graphics, the people do the commentary for it, and then the camera work. Because they record everything anyway. You know? So if you're already going to record it, you might as well just record it with the better cameras and then put it up on the network, because that's the type of thing that gets people to go, wow, I actually do get a lot of bang for my buck, and my $9.95 is going somewhere because I can watch this extra event. I can watch this halftime heat thing, and I can, so on and so forth like that. So I would definitely like to see more of these things in the future, and more alternative programming to other events too. Like when the World Cup was going on, maybe they could have done something around that.
That's when I would have done the NXT UK match.
Yeah, that would have been a good time to do that.
Yeah, I guess the thing is you have this outlet, and yes, you're getting paid more for TV than you ever have, but this network should still be your bread and butter.
It's the thing that's going to continue to grow if you do it well. So you're not going to get somebody who is, a diehard Rams fan right now to tune in to the WWE Network if they don't own the WWE Network and to watch this kind of a match. But at the same time, you just got 35 something minutes of us talking about something in majority positive tone of a match that could have been a dark match for an NXT episode.
Right.
And that's a positive thing for sure. So I still dig this. I still think it was a really good idea. I still think that they should do it again next year. And I just kind of hope that they amp it up a little bit and they just make it a little bit more must-see.
I agree.
And put Michaels back on commentary again. He was fun.
Yeah, he was a good time. But it's got to be for NXT, you know?
I don't know. Put him on the main roster, too. I'd like to hear him say some things about some other people like Elias and all.
I don't know. I feel like he's primarily... He would still be overproduced, you know?
Well, that's the difference. You can't have Vince McMahon calling him up and being like, say this, say that, just let him be him. That might have been the difference about this whole thing, too. Probably was. Yeah, I like this. This gets a thumbs up from me. Any other thoughts you got going on for it?
No. It was just great show. Love NXT. Boo football.
All right, everybody, leave your comments below and tell us what you thought of Halftime Heat and anything else that you guys want to chime in about. Just go ahead and, toss those opinions out there. Make sure that you're also subscribing on the YouTube channel and ring that bell for the notifications to be aware of the next videos that we've got going on, which the next time around is not going to be a pay-per-view point, thankfully. It's going to be the hot tags and then potentially a call the spot for the Elimination Chamber participants, but I still haven't quite worked that out yet. So maybe not.
You want to do it on Tuesday?
We probably will, because we already know who the men's participants are, and we can be almost 100% for sure what the women's are. So we might just do that Tuesday and kind of put that up a little bit of an earlier day. Stay tuned for that, everybody. And if you are not subscribed on the YouTube channel, then what the fuck? But also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, and pay attention to SmarkOutMoment.com for all the things that are happening there outside of the podcast related material, like the weekly articles and such, and e-wrestling news, Bleacher Report, all the other kind of stuff that, there's outside interference kind of content. We also have, I'm calling it foreign objects. I'm calling the ads outside interference.
You did the same thing last night.
Yeah, I'm so brain dead still this week. I have fanboysanonymous.com as well, where, I do Week in Geek and anything else that I can get a chance to actually put something up there about, which I have so many articles that are just like half written. I think that last time I checked, it was like 18 articles that I just never got a chance to finish. Breaking down like how I would redo the entire Generation 1 of Pokemon, ideas for what Incredibles 3 should be, like just all these like different ideas. But if you want to, kind of grease the wheels a little bit to get more stuff like that for fanboys or for Smark Moment, think about tossing some money our way through the Patreon. And there's different tiers and stuff on that, so pay attention to that. There's also the Redbubble and the TeePublic shops if you want to pick up some merchandise, especially before it gets taken down for copyright infringement. You can no longer buy the Nicholas Club shirts. WWE took that down, so boo. Same thing with Sonic the Hedgehog designs and stuff. Apparently that's like a problem. Whatever. And all the other stuff that I've got going on, just follow me, Tony Mango and A Mango Tree and all the other kind of accounts, and you will see that coming. And I don't know, maybe a new episode of the Silent Hour show pops up or something.
That's fun.
Imagine me dedicating time to do that again. Plug-wise, you got the talking stick.
Yeah, so eWrestlingNews.com and WrestleZone.com are your daily sources for professional wrestling news. Next week is a big week. We have Raw, SmackDown, the AEW Double or Nothing ticket rally on Thursday. So I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of news this week. Outside of that, check me out everywhere on at Dude Felice. That's DUDEFELSE. And yeah, Time Killer Apparel, which is my clothing brand, which if I ever get some time after not doing wrestling stuff, I can devote more time to that. So yeah, that's it for me. Oh, and check out all the weeklies. Callum does the power rankings. Hannah just did 5 Moves of Doom, Shawn Michaels, and we just gushed about Shawn Michaels for 30 minutes. So, go check that out. And the Triple Threat this week features a Royal Rumble review.
Alrighty, everybody, that's going to do us in for what hopefully is the final pay-per-view point for at least a little bit until the Elimination Chamber predictions and review. We'll see. I don't know. The way WWE is, they might just, tomorrow afternoon be like, hey, by the way, new fucking Saudi Arabia show in 6 minutes. And I'll be like, God damn it. And they still won't have the graphics up.
You have a week off at least because, the Chamber is next week, not this coming week, but the week after.
Yeah, thank God. So whatever's happening, you'll see it happening here. What's the thing that MVP used to say? Big things stopping, little things popping, or
big things
that's the other way around. Stuff's going on. That's what he was saying, basically. So, just subscribe, follow us, like us, share us, favorite us, all the other kind of stuff like that. And we will be seeing you next time, everybody. Thanks for listening, as always, and thank you for all your support. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.